Are you tired of pouring your heart, your sweat, and your hard-earned money into building projects only to watch your profits slip through your fingers like sand? I met a builder last month who told me he was working 80-hour weeks, had $200,000 of his own money tied up into projects, and was seriously considering walking away from his business he once loved. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why this happens to most builders, and more importantly, the 3 proven systems that can completely turn it around. By the end of this video, you'll understand the real reasons why most builders struggle financially. And it's not what you think. You'll discover 3 specific systems that successful builders use to streamline their operations, leverage other people's money, and significantly boost their profits. No more 80-hour weeks, no more using your own cash, just sustainable, profitable growth. Hi, my name is Thayer. I've been in construction for over 30 years. I've helped countless builders transform their operations from financial chaos to efficiency and profitability. They've gone from stressed and financially strained to building sustainable businesses that work for them, not against them. And if they can do it, so can you. Before we dive into these systems, I've created a comprehensive free resource specifically for builders called From Builder to Business Owner. Click the link in the description below to grab your copy right now. It's completely free. Let's start with the hard truth. Most builders fail to profit, not because they're bad at building homes, but because they're running their business like contractors instead of business owners. I see this pattern over and over again. You start a project, you use your own money to fund it, because that's what you think you have to do. Then you spread yourself thin across multiple projects, working every hour of the day, managing every detail personally. Sound familiar? Here's what happens next. You're so busy working in your business that you never get time to work on your business. Your personal funds are tied up for months, sometimes over a year. You're stressed, your family barely sees you, and at the end of the day, your profit margins are razor thin. The financial strain is obvious. But the hidden cost that most builders don't calculate is the opportunity cost. While your money is tied up on one project, you're missing out on other deals. While you're managing every detail, you're not building systems that could scale your business. I've seen builders with incredible skills go bankrupt, not because they couldn't build, but because they never learned to leverage resources and systems effectively. But here's the good news. Nobody teaches builders how to run a profitable business. They teach you how to build, how to manage projects, but not how to create sustainable, scalable systems. By the way, if you're serious about transforming your business, and I mean really serious, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so that you can learn new tips every week about how you could scale your home building business. The first system that separates successful builders from struggling ones is mastering financial leveraging. Now, I'm not talking about going to your local bank and begging for a construction loan. I'm talking about learning how to use other people's money, what we call OPM, strategically and ethically. You're probably funding your builds one of 2 ways. 1, using your own money, and 2, trying to get traditional bank financing. Both of these approaches are killing your growth potential. When you're using your own money, you're limited yourself to 1, maybe 2 projects at a time. Your money gets tied up for 6 to 12 months and you're taking all the risk personally. When you try to get bank financing, you're dealing with mountains of paperwork, strict lending requirements, and banks that don't understand the building business. Here's what successful builders do differently. They find private money lenders who understand real estate and construction. These are individuals or small companies who have money to lend and want better returns that they can get from their banks or even the stock market. Let me give you a real example. I work with a builder, let's just call him Mike, who was stuck building one house at a time with his own money. He was making maybe $150,000 profit per house, but he can only do about 2 houses a year because his capital was always tied up. I taught Mike how to find private money lenders willing to lend at 10 to 12% interest. Sounds expensive, right? Here's the math. Instead of using $350,000 of his own money, for one house, he can now do 5 houses simultaneously using private money. Even after paying interest, his annual profit jumped from $300,000 to $1.5 million. So where do you find these private money lenders? They're everywhere once you know where to look. You can find them at real estate investment groups, local RIA meetings, even successful business owners in your area who are looking for better returns on their money. Places like the local Chamber of Commerce, country clubs, nice restaurants, and even the grocery store. The key is building relationships and presenting yourself professionally. This isn't about asking for favors. It's about presenting a win-win business opportunity. Now, when you're borrowing private money, you need to structure those deals properly. I recommend using companies like Build Wallet or working with a closing attorney that can set up escrow accounts and draw schedules. This protects both you and the lender. The lender feels secure because the money is held in escrow and only released as you hit specific milestones. You benefit because you're not getting a lump sum that's tempting to mismanage. Most builders are working 60 to 80 hours a week, but here's the crazy thing. Most of that time isn't spent on revenue generating activities. The 80-20 rule for builders. In any business, 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your activities. For builders, that 20% is usually deal evaluation, project setup, and high-level decision-making. But most builders spend 80% of their time on the other stuff like the day-to-day management decisions and firefighting. Successful builders create systems and processes that don't require their constant involvement. Let me show you what it looks like in practice. First, project management software. I use a system that tracks every phase of construction. It automatically sends updates to subcontractors and flags potential issues before they become a problem. This one tool alone saves me 15 to 20 hours a week per project. Second, standardized processes. Instead of reinventing the wheel for every project, I have a checklist of templates for everything, like lot analysis, permitting, contractor management, and even quality control. When everything is systemized, your team can execute with constant supervision. I also implement lean construction principles, which is basically eliminating waste in every part of your process. This means waste of time, waste of materials, and waste of effort. For example, instead of making multiple trips to a supply house, we batch all of our ordering. Instead of having guys waiting around for deliveries, we coordinate scheduling so that everything flows smoothly. These small efficiencies add up to massive time and cost savings. But the biggest game changer is building a management team that you can trust. I know what you're thinking, Terry, I can't afford to hire managers. But here's the thing, you can't afford not to. Plus, I can show you ways that your build will pay for their payroll while you're building. Start small. Maybe it's a part-time project coordinator who handles things like scheduling and material ordering. That person can be a virtual assistant. As you scale, you can add a full-time project manager. The key is finding people who share your commitment to quality and training them into your systems. When you have proper systems and team members in place, something amazing happens to you. You can actually take a vacation without your phone ringing every 5 minutes. You can evaluate new deals while your current projects are running smoothly. You can focus on strategy instead of putting out fires. I can remember the first time I took a long weekend and chin check on my job sites. It was terrifying at first, but everything ran perfectly. That's when I knew systems were working. The third system is building passive income streams. And this is where most builders miss the biggest opportunity. Most builders only think about building and selling, but the real wealth is built by holding onto some of your properties as rentals. Here's a strategy that created more millionaire builders than any other. Build to rent instead of selling every house you build. You keep some as rental properties. This will give you monthly cash flow while your property is appreciating over time. Not to mention the tax benefits offset some of these gains. Now I know what you're thinking, Terry, I don't have money to hold on to these properties. But remember system 1, when you're using other people's money effectively, you can structure deals where the rental income covers the debt service and still gives you cash flow. Let me show you the math on this. Say you build a house for $420,000 total cost, and now it's worth $600,000 when complete. Most builders would sell it for $150,000 profit and move on to the next one. But what if you refinanced it instead? You could pull out $450,000 in cash. Your original investment was $425,000 plus an additional $25,000 extra. Now you have your money back to invest into the next project. Plus you own a rental property that's generating $3,500 to $3,800 per month in cash flow. Do this with just 5 properties and you've got $17,000 to $19,000 in passive income. That ends up being about $200,000 to $230,000 a year in income that doesn't require you to work. After you pay the PITI, that puts about $24,000 to $48,000 a year in your pocket. The key to making this work is understanding the refinancing process. Most lenders will finance up to 75% of the appraised value of a rental property. So let's say your house appraises for $600,000. You get a loan for $450,000. Use that money to pay back your construction loan and keep the difference. The rental income will cover the mortgage payment. You're going to build equity every month, plus to get tax benefits from depreciation. Now, managing rental properties isn't passive if you're doing it yourself. That's why successful builders either hire project management companies or systemize their rental operations, just like they do their construction business. A good property management company typically charges between 8 and 10% of the rental income, but they handle everything: tenant screening, maintenance coordination, rent collection, and even evictions if necessary. For most builders, this is money well spent because it keeps the income truly passive. As you build more rentals, you create a compounding effect. The cash flow from the first 5 rentals helps fund the next 5. Before you know it, you have a portfolio of properties generating serious monthly income. I know builders who started with this strategy 10 years ago and now have rental properties worth tens of millions of dollars, generating enough passive income that they could stop building tomorrow if they wanted to. But here's the beautiful thing. They love building, and now they could be selective about what properties they take on. Let me tell you about one of my students who implemented all 3 of these systems. When he joined my program, he was working about 70 hours a week. He had over $400,000 of his own money tied up into projects and was barely breaking even after paying himself. He's very skilled at construction, but was drowning in the business side. He was managing every detail personally, using his own money for his projects, and selling every house that he built just to get his capital back for the next project. First, we worked on financial leveraging. He found 3 private lenders in his area willing to lend to him at 11% interest. This immediately freed up his personal capital and allowed him to take on multiple projects simultaneously. Next, time optimization systems. He then invested into a project management software and hired a virtual assistant project coordinator. Within 3 months, he was working 40% fewer hours while his projects ran more smoothly than ever. Finally, we implemented the build-to-rent strategy. Instead of selling the next 3 houses, he refinanced them and kept them as rentals. These properties now generate $1,800 a month in net passive income. The results? Today, just 18 months later, he's building 15 houses per year instead of 2, working normal business hours, and has a growing portfolio of rental properties. His annual income has more than 10x, and he actually enjoys his business again. He told me recently that the best part isn't even the money, it's the freedom. He could take vacations without worrying about his business falling apart and be present for his family. He has time to pursue other interests. Think about this. This could be your story. The strategies aren't unique to him. They work for any builder who's willing to shift from thinking like a contractor to thinking like a business owner. So what can you do right now to start implementing these systems? For financial leveraging, start attending local real estate investment meetings. Get comfortable talking about your business and the returns you can offer private lenders. Begin building relationships now if you're not ready to borrow yet. For time optimization, do time audits this week. Track how you spend every hour for 5 days. I guarantee you'll find 15 to 20 hours of your time that could be better spent or even eliminated. For passive income, start analyzing your next project with the build-to-rent strategy in mind. Run the numbers on keeping it as a rental instead of selling it. You might be surprised at what you discover. But here's the most important thing I want you to remember. None of these systems work unless you're willing to think differently about your business. You have to shift from being somebody who just builds houses to somebody who builds a business that happens to build houses. If you're ready to stop the cycle of financial strain and start building a business that actually works for you instead of against you, I want to help you get there faster. click the link in the description and grab my free From Builder to Business Owner Guide. If you got value from this video, do me a favor, hit the like button. It's gonna help other builders find this content. Honestly, I know that there's a lot of builders out there right now who need to hear this message. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, keep building your success.